members, and welcome to Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
And this is going to be our spoiler review of The Stand, Episode 4, called House of the Dead. Like, of the Dark,
House
of
the Holy.
House of the D.
That's something different.
House of the Dead, spoiler-ish talk. We've done some reviews with this so far, and we've been kind of talking about some of the spoilers a little bit. And
yeah, it's a little hard to talk about it.
Yeah, so, okay. We've talked about in the last couple of reviews about the first couple of episodes was a setup of the characters and, getting to know characters. There's 8 million characters, so you needed a couple episodes to do that. The one last week was very much is actually what everything's happening to us actually really happening, and is it actually really, you're starting to get an understanding. The characters are getting an understanding of what's going on in their world and everything, and everything becomes real. This is, at least from my first initial reaction, this is the episode where the trying to figure out what's going on outside of Boulder, specifically what's going on in Vegas, the understanding of there's more outside the world than Mother Abigail and what's going on here. And now we have to really sit down and think about that.
Right.
And that comes out of the new arrival that we got from last week, the guy in the Porsche with the stigmata and with the messenger and stuff like that. So continuation of the plot from last week into this week, and it's forcing their hand, and the 5 is forcing their hand. And
Right. So, I mean, this is kind of representative of it's almost the middle of the book.
Right.
The first half is everybody just trying to get together in Boulder, and then there's a little bit of a respite where they kind of just try to figure out
how to live.
How to live in Boulder, turning the electric on and everybody finding a place to live and cleaning out the bodies and all of that. And then they start to have these meetings and people start to bring up these difficult questions about what about the other guy and what's going on. And then from that point forward, you're dealing with Flag, basically. And much less flashbacks. I mean, there were still a little bit of flashbacks in this one. Mostly just to introduce Julie Lowry, who I don't even think they said her name in the episode.
No.
And the only reason that they're going to do that is because she becomes important for Tom later. I won't go into that yet because we haven't gotten there. But that's the only reason to introduce her at all. And so they were really quick with her little scene, which I think might be confusing to people that don't know the story. Like, why was this person introduced and we don't even get her name? And then they did one little flashback.
They were all kind of together. That whole flashback thing was kind of smushed together in one little story, which I really liked that particular flashback because it gives a little bit of context of how people were getting together on the road.
Yeah.
How Stu and Glenn and Harold and Franny. God damn it! I almost got everybody's names.
Francis Goldsmith.
How they all got together to go to Boulder and their group conversation of, oh my God, we're all having the same dream or whatever.
Right.
But Stu and Franny's conversation, I think, is more important for that particular storyline where Franny tells Stu that she's pregnant and Harold is over listening.
Right.
But the other thing about that particular scene shows is that it's not always safe on the road, and they haven't really done that yet.
Yeah.
And so that whole grouping was, I really liked that whole set.
Yeah. So that stuff happened, but not like that.
Engage in the story being told.
No, I know. But the scene with the truck driver and the two women that he had handcuffed in the back of the truck. So that storyline isn't in the original book. It's in the rewrite, the updated version
right.
from the early 90s. And there's this whole scene. It's more people than just that one guy, and they've gathered a bunch of women, and they've set a trap,
Right,
and they do come along to that, but it's a bigger group of besides Harold and Franny, and but how it played out was pretty much what ended up happening.
Right.
And that was, for the people, for the fans that actually know about that scene from the rewrite, the update, that was kind of nice to get that.
Yeah, and I liked how it just presented a lot more in a little section than we've probably gotten in some of the other flashbacks. I mean, some of the other flashbacks have been character development. This is actually like group dynamics development, which I thought was important, especially with what's going on later on in the episode when the commission, the council, the five, the committee. I knew it started with the C. Their group dynamic and is like, now you understand that people had relationships. Like 3 of the committee members are in this flashback scene, and so that it just added some legitimacy to the conversations they were having later about sending the 3 spies off to Vegas, and so I thought that was kind of a nice little touch of everything. But I also liked the opening scene of the city council meeting, for lack of a better term. It was a city council meeting, and people voicing their concerns, and Stu, who is kind of the de facto leader of the committee, not really being comfortable with that position, and Larry Underwood having to come in and kind of do the crowd work a little bit to warm the crowd up, and then Stu was able to come in and kind of be more realistic. And I like that scene too. It was like another good. Everything in this episode was all about group dynamics. Yeah. And it's even with Nadine and Harold, it's about group dynamics, especially because you're adding Flag as the third in their group, right? And so this was all about group dynamics, and I really appreciated that kind of setup and everything. I really liked this episode. I really liked last episode, and I think this one was better. Yeah. I don't know how you're feeling.
Yeah. I like you said, engage in the story that was told, and as far as that goes, I liked it. Couple Easter eggs in there. That one with the truck driver, and then we get the obligatory Stephen King shot in the Hemford home
poster. He's the youngest person in the poster.
I know. And he's not a young guy. It was kind of funny. It was almost like that. Was it Thanksgiving dinner meme where Deadpool it's that long table of all the family, and then Deadpool's like it's kind of the same thing.
We got Julie Lowry introduced in this episode. I specifically excited about this because Kate McKenna is the actress who's playing her.
Right.
I don't remember what Julie is. I think she goes to Vegas, if I remember correctly. But I'm excited for her for Kate, because she's playing something that's very different than what she's played in the past.
Yeah.
And kind of, I don't know, but she's kind of off the hinges a little bit, of person. And
yes, she is definitely.
I just thought that was kind of again, we were talking about this last week about we still have a ton of characters that we haven't been introduced to yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so that was kind of cool to throw her in there with the flashback scene of Nick and Tom, like working out their friendship and their relationship with each other, and then kind of throwing this third wheel in with the idea of it was based off of the committee meeting about having Tom be the third of the spies to go to Vegas, and Nick kind of backing up on, like, you'd be surprised by him. And
whether he could handle it or not. That was one thing I was thinking about during this episode. a lot of for people that have read the book or had the book read to you, the story is very metaphysical.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff, and they've really toned that down for this series, which is fine. They're kind of leaving the whole Mother Abigail versus Randall Flagg, good versus evil, devil versus hell versus heaven.
Yeah.
They're making that pretty much the extent of the metaphysics that they're asking you to believe in.
Right.
Whereas the book, like Tom, they hypnotize him and send him off with this hypnotic suggestion to come back when the moon is full. And I understand the choices, like you said, like I said, they're asking people to. A lot of people don't necessarily believe in heaven and hell, so they're already asking them to buy into that.
Right.
So let's not do a ton of.
And they've mentioned it in the show, like I won't say it's been like underlying, at least from my point of view, the underlying of the good versus evil, the way they kind of set it up with Flagg going.
Right,
and
but in the book, it was much more like. Almost I don't think they come out and say this. Maybe somebody says it in some sort of dialogue. Glenn probably was the one that said it, but just when you strip away all the extraneous kind of input and stuff that we as human beings get today, when you strip all that away and you're back down to just functioning as a human being, that some of that magic that people, cavemen or, people from a long time ago felt or believed in kind of starts to flood back in. And so that's why they, there's just a lot of metaphysical stuff that happens in the book that they have gotten rid of for the show.
It's a lot more to explain. Try to get the audience to explain it because
buy into.
I mean, we could get it, but it not everybody's going to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think it might turn a lot of people off.
Yeah. The only other thing I really want to talk about was the decision. We're at the point where they're sending the spies off to Vegas.
Right, and so I kind of think from now forward, we're going to get more of the Vegas side. So Trash Can Man will come in and we'll start to see. Because we have gotten none of Vegas whatsoever. Yeah. So I kind of expect like this next episode to be how they get there, at least a little bit. They're going to have to kind of explore how they get there a little bit, and then we're going to see Vegas.
We really haven't talked about Harold and Nadine. Nadine really like laying it in on Harold. This is what our mission is from Flagg. Her kind of using her feminine ways. I mean, that sounds really shitty, but like
that's exactly what it is. He's a virgin and she's hot, and that's what Flagg does. He says, "Okay, go do this for him to get him to cross over," because otherwise he was, at least starting to make friends, and probably wouldn't have. Probably was about to or had set aside his hate for Stu.
Right. And then she came in and just kind of poked at him a little bit, and then it just started ratcheting up and up more and
it was
more.
enough to send him back over the edge.
And I really like that dynamic is out in the open but hidden. Like everything that they're doing, all the conversations they're doing, like it'd be really easy, and it happened in this episode. Somebody stumbles along and finds them,
right?
But yeah, that was the other thing that this episode that as I sit here and talk about it more, was one of the things that I really liked. I really like her seduction scene of him, but I also like the small little flashback we got of Francis and Harold his undividing, his devotion to her, and she was like, I can't be like that for you. Mm-hmm. and that kind of lays the groundwork, but we already kind of knew that groundwork was there, and so I really like I said, the more I think about it, the more I really like this episode. And
so that scene where they get caught and Nadine shoots Harold's friend, and I can't think of his name.
Joe?
No, Joe's the kid.
No, Joe's the kid. Anyways, keep talking.
His Wozniak,
no, yeah,
Teddy Wozniak. That doesn't happen. That was completely written for this series.
It pushes Harold a little bit. It pushes Harold to remove all of his ties that he has.
Yeah, because Teddy's the one that calls him Hawk, so he was the only friend that he really had. And I just we realized that we did not point out Greg Kinnear last episode.
Right.
And so we would like to shout out to Greg Kinnear.
And his amazing sweaters.
His amazing sweaters as Glenn Bateman, and his infinite supply of marijuana vape pen.
Vape pen. If he's not eating, he's got that vape pen in his hand.
Yeah. And he made a comment, I think, last episode about, of all the places we come to, it's Colorado where pot is legal.
Yeah. When they announced Greg Kinnear for this, I was just like, Greg Kinnear? All right, cool. But he's been like, I think outside of Harold, the guy who's playing Harold, it's right there.
Owen Teague?
Teague. Other than Owen Teague, who's playing Harold, I think he's amazing because he's just creepy.
Yeah.
We really haven't gotten much of Alexander Skarsgård other than the one really big scene.
Yeah.
But what Greg Kinnear has been doing, I'm just like, and go ahead, keep talking, because he's the realist of the group.
Yeah. Well, and he's the quintessential college professor, right?
Yeah.
With the sweaters and smoking pot and
Anything else you want to talk about with this episode?
I don't think so. We'll remember something later.
I'm sure we will. We'll talk about it next week. So let us know what you thought of this episode and our reaction/review of The Stand episode 4, The House of Death. Let us know in the comments down below. Please be nice. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications and follow us on all the social media stuff, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Links are in the description down below. And until the next review, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.